Hi, everyone. My name is Tunde Olaniran. I'm so happy to have you join us for this event. I want to take 1 minute just to say, I hope wherever you are, there's a lot going on. I hope that you are okay in this moment. I want to literally just like take a quick deep breath. There's just a lot happening, and we're going to spend like an hour just hanging out and chatting, and I hope we can get to talk to you a little bit. So I really want to start out by thanking the University Musical Society at the University of Michigan. UMS is celebrating its 142nd season, bringing music, theater, and dance to Southeast Michigan. I'm one of 6 digital residency artists this season at UMS. And I'm really excited because in partnership with UMS, my newest single, my newest song, which is called We Don't Want to Hear It, is out. It's it's the first of 4 singles that's going to be released during my residency. You can download it, stream it. It's everywhere today, right now. So I'm really excited about that. This residency that I'm in is made possible with support from Joe Malkoon and Caitlin Klein, UMS Sustaining Directors, the Community Foundation for Southeast Michigan, and the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation. So putting out this song was really interesting. It's a pop song, and thinking about being a Black artist doing pop music right now, it just made me want to have a conversation with some folks that have really influenced my current work. So I want to welcome Siena Liggins, who is a singer, songwriter, musician, and friend.
Hi.
Hi.
What's up?
I'm so excited you're here. Joining Siena is classically trained multi-instrumentalist, producer, vocalist, Shara Nova. Hey, Shara.
Hello.
And our last guest is Olly Alexander, singer, songwriter, musician, actor.
Yay! Hi. Very happy to be here.
I'm so happy that you all were able to like just be a part of this, because it's hard to figure out how to connect right now, especially during this pandemic. So I really wanted to talk to you because in the course of making this song, like I've had different connections with all of you over the past year, 2 years and more. Like Shara, I had the chance to tour with you and seeing how your universe worked and how you approached your art. Siena, getting a chance to write with you and see how your mind works when you're putting together music. I know you have that's been out and that's potentially coming out soon. Olly, like getting a chance to do some shows with you, but also have conversations with you about being a pop artist in 2018, 2019, 2020, and like all of the intersections and things that you are observing. So I just felt like it would be fun for us all to chat and for you all to meet each other too.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
I'm gonna just start and ask you all how you're doing right now, if I can ask that. I'll start with Siena. How are you like right now?
In this moment, I'm great. I'm happy that my Wi-Fi is working well for this. We had a scare earlier this week. And I'm super excited to have this conversation because it's something that I feel like I end up talking about all the time. Like just got done having this conversation. So I'm excited for it.
Some tea's been spilled.
Definitely.
I'm glad you're good. I'm glad the Wi-Fi's popping. Olly, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you. It's the evening in the UK. It's 10:30. I just had some hummus and falafel. It was delicious.
Nice.
And I am very excited to be here. Again, this is the kind of stuff that I love to talk about as well. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
I'm like getting thrilled just knowing that you're all talking to each other too. Shara, how are you? I know you've been traveling. Are you home?
Yep, I just got home yesterday. I think I've had 3 COVID tests in the last week and a half. So
Yeah.
traveling is like that now. You get your nose swiped, but I'm happy to be back in Detroit and talking with all of you. And
But
nervous. I mean,
what
just
are
a
you
little
little
nervous too. Just a
a
little
little
bit.
nervous?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
But that's okay. It's good.
What if we did this? This is
Okay.
something I do, and it's so ridiculous. I'm gonna go through one more time. Everyone, make a face or sound or noise to like really capture how you feel right now. So I'll start.
No.
That's me. That's like how I feel right
No
now.
one can beat that. Are you kidding me?
No, it's not a
one can beat that.
competition. It's how you feel.
That was complex.
And
I'm
is that
gonna
Like
you?
my mood. My mood is always
That's you. You're reaching.
I'm having a stretch.
I want to I feel like I should. But I
Can I do
really
Olly? Can we just?
Yeah, okay, well, I'll
practice.
Also,
Okay.
I took the deep breath with you at the beginning, and I love that. I need to do that too, like all the time. Take deep breaths before I speak.
Yeah. Being in this work, I mean, I don't want to say being in this business. Like I'm not trying to be like the
Here we
grizzled
go.
person, but like there's a lot of like weird energy you have to deal with, whether it's coming from inside or like from outside of you. So I feel like even releasing a song today, I'm an independent artist, but there's still like there's so much weird different kinds of energy going all over the place. So
Can we just have
Totally.
a celebration? Because I think that's the weird thing about releasing songs in this situation is like you don't get the thing and your track is amazing. So I think we need to have a release
We
day
don't
party.
wanna hear
Check
it.
it out.
No.
Check it out.
We don't
Hey.
wanna hear it. No.
It's fire. It really is exactly this.
Yay!
Thanks, thank you.
It's
really
great.
I really like Siena. We had a writing camp in Atlanta like a week before I went to LA to like work on this record. So like really honestly, you all have like played so many, like you're in my head when I work on stuff and when I think about like approaching music. So I want to get into your head. Is
Oh
that,
my
like,
gosh. So what if I like, would it be crazy if I like got in your head?
I mean, what would you think if so I think the thing that we've all talked about maybe individually is our relationship to pop music. I wanted to ask if anyone wanted to talk about like how you define pop music and what you think your relationship is to it right now.
Oh my gosh.
Siena, you go.
Literally,
You go.
okay. I
can feel it.
I was like, how I describe it is like, I don't know. It's just whatever's hot, right? I think that like, obviously like it stems from popular. So it's gone through all of these different iterations of what pop music actually is, but it's just whatever's hot. And I mean, now that this can be so many things, but for me, the first time I was like, oh, I like pop music was like Dirty Pop by NSYNC. And like, I didn't even understand anything at that point in my life. Like my mom got me that album and like, I barely knew how to read. So
your mom got you the album like at your request or?
No, I didn't even know who NSYNC was. I think my mom got it more for herself than for me. Like for context, like my mom was a very young mom. So we kind of celebrated Christmas together with my grandma. And so, yeah, she got me that album Celebrity by NSYNC and I thought it was fire. And I was also obsessed with Britney Spears and just like, there's just celebrity. But for me, that sound really defined a lot for me as I started to write my own music and as I started to get into what I want it to sound like. But now the blueprint is Tunde Olaniran. So whenever I write songs, I'm like, would Tunde like this or not?
Right.
I'm just waiting, like,
seriously.
send me the Dropbox link. No, it's so funny because writing with you, you are really an instinctive writer, but I feel like there are a set of, not rules, but like guides that I sense with you, and you push, like when we were all writing, there were tons of people in this camp, and you kind of kept pushing us and corralling us because you had a really specific idea. And I feel like your sound, your voice kind of reminds me of Britney Spears in a way, like
Thanks.
the way you use it and like the certain tone and like the way you enunciate and like kind of even not glitch your own voice, but like do little things like hiccup or like snatch the volume out. You know, it's just really interesting. So I'm just wondering, it's clear that was an influence for you, just hearing this.
Totally, because neither of us can sing.
Wait.
No, I'm just kidding. But it's a sort of thing where it's like, I know, like
the license just stops.
No, I'm the biggest Britney fan ever. But the fact of the matter is that we both have voices that ultimately get used as their own instrument. And I recognize like the strengths in my voice, and a lot of it comes from just like personality. So I have fun with it. I'm like not afraid to crack, or, you know, if I'm like, you're just not going to get that note out of me, but you're going to get something here. Like I try to go for it. And that's something that over time I just had to like figure out for myself. And is honestly why as I was making music and starting to like write for myself, I kind of get put into this like, oh, she's an R&B artist, you know, like she's obviously an R&B artist. And vocally, I don't feel like I can stand up with the R&B girls currently. And that's fine. Like I'm so happy in my lane. But that was something that definitely helped popify my sound, I guess, as well. Is because I was like, I don't want to do a stripped set. Like I want it to be as fucking chaotic and just like wild as possible. But yeah,
I hope people take a chance to listen to your music. Just, I know people are maybe listening to you talk, and if you haven't heard Siena's music, like it'll all make sense if you just listen to a few of these singles that have come out.
Please.
Yeah, please do. Who else has like that? Is there like it doesn't have to be like necessarily your first pop moment, but like how do you define it? What's your relationship to it? Like Olly, do you have a
this is what I was thinking. My first pop moment was probably Spice Girls and Britney, Oasis, and then the first like I remember it was like for the year 2000 for Christmas I got Millennium, which was Will Smith's like I think album. It was his album, which had like Miami, like and now I can't remember any of those Will Smith songs, but that was like my first foray into.
Millennium is what like got you into music. You should just start.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I do Will Smith. I guess for me, pop music. I mean, you know, like exactly what Siena said. I relate to like a song, the structure of the song probably more. Like I consider pop like if it's got like a verse and a chorus basically, or a hook. You know, it can really be any style. But the style is important too. But that's my answer.
I literally wrote down Millennium because the way that has never been in my mind as a word. Like I need to go back and do some research.
Will Smith 2000.
Yeah, I don't know if I know any songs on that album.
I know Miami. I guess I know the song Miami, but I don't think of him. I
know the intro.
Men in Black theme tune.
Quite like a pop hybrid rap like that.
Welcome to Miami.
Bienvenidos a Miami.
Bienvenido a Miami. Yeah, that's all I remember.
That's the only part I know though.
Shara, I was like,
but I think
what I love about you is you have a really like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, you sure?
No,
Shara, I know you have like
now
a
we're
really
like,
great.
what were you gonna say?
Whenever I talk to you, you have such a like.
Ollie.
No, I kind of want to know, but I feel like Ollie will just jump in if and like yeah.
I forgot already.
So well, Shara, like you kind of have this like historic context
I'm the
that you
grandma
can bring
here,
that
honey.
you've mentioned, and it's such a deep. Not even that, because like I feel like as a musician, you've definitely like done your homework about the forms of music that you're doing, you know, or at least the little. I mean, I don't want to set you up to be like I love Britney too, but like I just feel like you have a really cool take on like what pop music is, or what the roots of it are.
Oh, so much to say, and probably I shouldn't say, but for me, when I'm thinking I'm going to write a pop tune, it's melody driven, and I think it was a shock to me at a certain point that if I didn't include some kind of dance element, that people didn't perceive the music as being pop, even if it was very melodic. So that's sort of been a weird one of those blind spots that seems kind of like you should know that there's some element of dance music, but as soon as you depart from dance music, people start naming you lots of things that you're like, I didn't know that that's what I was doing, or that's how people would perceive it. So I feel like those two things about some kind of relationship to dance music and being melodically driven.
Yeah.
Aside from like, of course, what's popular, which
Right,
always does change.
It's always changing.
Yeah.
I've noticed writing with pop, like maybe it's because I've rubbed up against those boundaries, but like when I've written with pop artists or artists they're into it, like that's what they're trying to do, I'll often rub up against rhythm and like how complex vocal rhythms can be, if that makes sense. And oftentimes I'll get pushback, like this is too complicated or complex of a rhythm for pop music, or the artist literally like can't accomplish that rhythmic thing. And so I'm like, oh, well, maybe this isn't really pop. And I think the all the things that you all said about a strong melody, I think it's also like it's supposed to kind of like make you feel kind of a certain way that like I don't necessarily feel when I listen to, you know, Cash Doll or like, you know, it's like a different feeling when you listen to some of the songs and they're trying to evoke a feeling, or maybe they're trying to protect some notion of like innocence and purity, or like I don't know, like do you get what I'm saying? I feel like I'm rambling a little bit.
It feels like for me though, like a lot of artists, even like Cash Doll now, are adopting things that like traditionally pop music has done, like what Shara was saying about like simple melodies, and what you were saying about people sort of understanding pop as being like getting across like a big idea in probably the least amount of syllables as possible. And you have songs like Ice Me Out, which is a pop song, but it's just Cash Doll's voice, and I don't know who produced it, but it's a hip hop beat, but like the hook on that is a pop hook. And so it definitely feels like as things move forward, obviously they all start to sort of like blend and take from one another. But yeah, I think outside, I think there's like a connotation of being a pop artist that people feel like they might be above, or artists are like, I don't want to be too bubblegum or too mainstream or too palatable. Like there's not art in it somehow, or like it's not as expressive if it's so easy to digest.
It's funny because like that Ice Me Out song was kind of a breakthrough moment for her, I remember. And I was like, it was so simple. And there are people like some of her older fans, Cash Doll's like, "Why are you having a referendum on my song?" But anyway, like, like when that came out, people were kind of like dragging her a little bit about like, "There's no bars in this," but I'm like, she or someone, they knew that that's what she needed to do at that time, almost.
100%.
Like that. But like, it is that like kind of, I don't want to be considered a pop artist, but then also I think some people like don't get to be considered a pop artist like at the same time.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cash Doll wants to be popular. She doesn't want to be a pop artist. But then there's people like me who aren't popular, but are fighting to be a pop artist. I just want to be a pop artist.
Right. Oh my gosh. Any other thoughts? I have like so many questions I can ask, but I don't want to move on too quickly.
To me, I guess the like, how does this song serve society, and how is this song filling a need that we have? And to me, somehow when the simplicity, when the vein gets hit, then, you know, something becomes popular. I'm always curious about like, what is the need that society has that's making this song resonate with people? And I guess that's always something I'm thinking about, is what is this song being popular right now tell me about where we're at?
That's interesting.
That is.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because like all pop
Like,
songs
what's that
right
theory of,
now
like-
are like 2.5 minutes long.
And that tells us
During that
something.
time, right.
We don't have time.
We'll get that.
And
I'm
we
scrolling.
can't deal with complexity either. We need it. We need to understand this, and we understand it quick.
Next caller.
Yeah, what's that theory of like the more social unrest there is, the more placid or like calm music becomes, and then the better things are society, the more like angsty music becomes, like its waves. What were you gonna say, Ollie? I'm sorry.
No, I don't remember. I'm really bad at that. I always forget what I was gonna say. Continue. I think I was going to say something about how people are very, something about songs getting shorter because people are so overloaded with information. I think people can't do, like listeners are really good at figuring out what they like, what they, find meaning in, because, it's down to the listener, right, at the end of the day. But I guess, yeah, there's so many streaming services, TikTok, the internet, everything's kind of added to that. But I personally like shorter songs, so I'm like happy about that one. But it's definitely it's definitely created a whole kind of, and I think there's a lot of you'll probably get into this, but there's a lot of people that try and game the algorithm and try and manufacture. So I think pop, obviously it's such a broad word, but it includes what we kind of commonly think of, I guess, as like a manufactured, shiny, presentation is like a big part of that. So I guess I can see why some people, take that standpoint, but I don't know what my point is anymore. So I'm gonna be quiet.
I got it.
Yeah, we got it. We're there. We see each other. No, I was kidding. So yeah, no, we got it. I feel like it is, when you think about pop too, or like just popular music, there is a very much of this has to be a center of profit for somebody, for it to be a song that's reaching a lot of people. So there's all these decision points that, depending on who's around you, there's more or less decision points, like between you uploading the song or not. But like, yeah, I think that's really important to consider when we look at who is out in music. Like I remember trying to, when I actually got into Spotify, I was like, all right, I'm gonna just see what music is out here. And I was just looking through every genre, and unless it was rap, like I could not find someone my skin color, like literally. And I'm not, caught up especially in like representation only, but it just seemed very weird to me that I had to dig really, really deeply to find any artist that was, you know, a brown skinned person doing anything other than hip hop. And even in hip hop, like that's still kind of challenging when you're looking at like femme or women, you know. So it just made me think about like what's going on, like what, like where, you know, because I know plenty of people who look like me
Are not
who make,
popular.
yeah, are not popular, but also just are not like
I mean, we
pop
exist, is
making,
what I'm
alt
getting at.
music making, indie stuff, you know. Yeah.
Somebody came in the
It
room.
was bound to happen.
Who's that?
Oh, sorry. He just needed a good
Who is
stretch.
that? Hi.
That's Princey. He's taking a nap next to us. He
But it's
just
put
needed a
Princess
good
Anne's
stretch.
up, like, okay. So
Sorry, just say hi and then go back.
oh wait,
Sorry.
scratching
He's
his
like,
ears
I
over
have
there. Yeah.
something to say.
So I
Sorry.
do want to get this question in. No, it's okay.
Yeah,
Princey,
because
you're welcome,
how people are slotted in based I think is what you're saying. People are slotted in based on skin color
And who do
rather
you think
than
it's from?
musical content,
Yeah, I
musical
think it's
form.
100%.
I totally think it's that. Yeah.
Even someone put in the chat earlier that for a long time pop was synonymous with whiteness for them.
Yeah.
And like that's a very fair point. Like during like when David Guetta started like popping in like the late 2000s, like that 4 on the floor, like big post-chorus EDM pop crossover thing that was happening for a while. Like it was not a lot of like Black women outside of like Rihanna like getting on those hooks. And so it definitely now seems like, you know, there's obviously a shift as, you know, I think that there becomes more of a demand for it. And also there's more accessibility because of social media for people to find me, whether or not a label, you know, shows interest or not, me or other, you know, Black pop artists. But it definitely for a while seemed like you had to be one or the other, or like there's only enough room for this many people because maybe the audience will get overwhelmed. I don't know. Like I don't know what would happen if you have too many pop girls that are Black at the same time. The whole system might blow up. It just combust.
And melts away.
Yeah.
Olly, were you thinking that we have something kind of brewing?
I think you know it's like who gets to inhabit the space, right? The pop space, because it can encompass so many different things. And an artist like Katy Perry can do a trap song. She can do, you know, a house influenced song featuring Voguers in her video, and then she can go back to making a different kind of music, and she's allowed to transition between those spaces. She has an audience that receives that well and doesn't have an issue, you know, and supports her. And I think that's really only white artists that are allowed to do that, you know. And I think that's obviously, you know, it's maybe Katy Perry is a bit of an unfair example because she's definitely been criticized a lot for like appropriation in the past. And I you know, I think it's just. But I think, you know, happens countless times, you know, and I think again, it's the way we categorize artists, and I think the reasons for that are many, and you know, run very deep. If that, you know, makes sense.
I think about because like you know, even your fans, Olly, are really sweet and like really sweet. And I see how they, you know, love you and are supportive of you. And I look at artists like a Harry Styles or like, I don't know, I feel like white artists get to be almost like loved in a different way. Like the way that I see people talk, the way that I see Harry Styles fans talk about Harry Styles is different than the way I see Lizzo fans talk about Lizzo, for example.
Right.
Lizzo is just seen as already like grown, sexualized in a different way. Just there's no assumption of any kind of like innocence, if that makes sense, even within their fandom.
Mm-hmm.
And it just is interesting because there's almost this protective, loving vibe for like a Harry that, and it's there's no shade to Harry, but it's just a different kind of almost protective. And I'm sure it can also it can also be really suffocating for especially women who are just you have to be virginal and pure and sweet and nice and stuff. But
they have to go through a Miley phase to break out of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like white pop girls have to go through this. Mm-hmm. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then you're allowed to revert back into this, now you're mature and that wasn't me. That was a face. That was a face. I don't know her. That never happened.
Oh my god!
But that's
I need a large stuffed animal for an example here. It's where's the animal bit? Sorry, I'm missing mine.
It's definitely goes so much deeper than I don't know if we even have time. Do we, Tunde? I mean, this is really up to you, but I feel like that would get
30 minutes.
It.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it goes back so far. I mean, it's just the hypersexualization, the perception that being Black also means being aggressive. There's so much of just that comes with having Black skin that just automatically you have to do 200% more in every direction to even get, it seems to the starting line. And white artists are just because of whiteness and white privilege are just they've already got a head start on you. Because for me to be a pop artist, I have to constantly say I make pop music. Whereas people, my counterparts, they can get away with just making music. If you Google my name right now, you will find just as many articles written on me that say I'm either a hip hop, R&B, or urban artist as there are where it says I'm a pop artist. And in the ones that say I'm a pop artist, it's usually because they quoted me saying it. But in terms of lists that I end up on or, playlists or, just anytime I get any recognition, I almost always have to distinctify that just because of my skin color. And it's the sort of thing where it's a lot of it has to do with obvious perceptions of who I am and us doing the work to sort of break down these biases that we have. But there's also the behind the scenes aspect of it where there's a lot of people working in the industry who just don't have the tools, they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the vernacular to be able to even describe me when I walk into a room. They're just we hear it's hot, it's different, it's cool, but I don't know what the hell to do with it. And so there's that amount of work where there's a need within the pop music industry for Black and brown people to hold positions that can help with some of the gatekeeping that happens and some of the just misunderstanding and misplacement and misrepresentation of Black pop artists.
Because the structure is you've got booking agents, promoters, distribution, A&R. You've got all of these levels of essentially white males. There are white females that are in those positions, but they're still perpetuating white supremacy. And then you become the novel.
You become a token.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it makes me think about music licensing. I don't want to get too technical, but when you hear a song in a TV show or hear a song in a movie or a commercial, there's someone that made the decision to pick that song and put it in there and to pay that artist for the song, right? and it kind of usually happens two ways. It's usually someone who their job is to just generate all this music to be in these shows and in commercials and stuff. And then there's also people that have artists, like a library of artists or songs that they can pull from and say, hey, ABC, hey, BBC, like put this artist in this TV show and in this commercial. But I've noticed the people that are called music supervisors, that like they put the call out to artists and say, hey, I need music for this thing, and I'm the one that decide whether or not I send your music to be considered. A lot, those people are mainly white. And it's really interesting, like I feel like not just whiteness, but I think when anything is just very homogenous is the only word I can think of, imagination suffers. And so I've seen the list of what people are even looking for these songs, and it's like it's like all this one type of thing, and like the lack of imagination means so many artists are never even going to get considered, because all you can think of is one rock song from the 70s for like 30 different things, because everyone around you has like the same approach to they're all nostalgic about the same things, because there's not that like diversity in those music supervision circles. I don't know, that's like confusing, but I just think a lack of imagination is seen, like you said, at all these levels, because there's no disruption in who's there. It just really chokes out a lot of people from being in those spaces as far as like musicians and artists.
Yeah, it makes it tough.
Yeah.
Because it, like Shara said, when they, find one, they're like, oh, my work is done. Got
like
him.
10 more songs like Fat One Girl.
We love Todrick Hall. I mean, insane. Like,
Yeah.
Great for Todrick, king. But he's not the only one. Lizzo's not the only Black girl making pop music or capable of doing or having a song of the year. Like, come on, guys. And then Lizzo, right now, if you Google top pop artists of 2020 or top pop female or women artists of 2020, her name's not even on the first 25.
Wow.
And she was literally the biggest artist last year.
This is such a huge like issue with the media and the way like these artists are talked about, and they're decorated, they're put on magazines, they're heralded as like,
she's literally, she's like, who doesn't know Lizzo?
Right.
In terms of, if that was Katy Perry, she'd be the pop artist.
Right.
Like, you would Google pop artist of 2020 and it would just be her face. Right. And like, you scroll through the list and she's not even in the top 25. Like, it's wild
to me. Wow.
It's wild.
So I really want to ask this question. I know I'm kind of going to veer out of the way a little bit, just because I really want to ask this specifically of you four. Obviously, you've done some thinking. You've had your own experiences that's kind of led you to think about just how you break rules as a pop artist or as an artist right now. And I really wanted to know what was a moment in pop music that did feel very groundbreaking for you, did feel very transgressive for you. I guess, like, Shara, can I ask you that question?
Sure. I do want to just put a quick, I'll try to be quick about it, but I think that the role of white artists with licensing is to say no. To say before I knew better, I did a version of Feeling Good. And so I've gotten asked for syncs for that a lot. And I think that my response has to be, there's Michelle Ndegeocello. There are all these other covers of this song. I think you should consider those people first. And to turn down work. And that is something that the business people are going to squawk at you about, and they're going to say, that's crazy. But I think it's the responsibility of white artists to refer that work to other people. And I think it's also, if you do decide to take that, I think that what you do with that money, you need to think about that for a long time. So that's just a way that the system can be disrupted, and that we can intentionally, create more space. So I just wanted to mention that as a practical thing, that we don't need to be, oh, I'm only going to get this one opportunity and I can't. No, don't think like that. There's opportunity, and there's opportunity for other people. So step aside.
So I know, I know I had that question, but I have to say, like, to that, my question is, how did you come to that? And what a great metaphor for what even we're dealing with in the US is, like, the imagination of, if other people are able to access something, that doesn't mean that I won't also, you know what I mean? Because I think that we're just in this struggle, whether it comes to healthcare, like anything, is understanding that there's abundance available, and in having a mindset of, I'm only going to get this one moment, I'm only going to get this one thing, I have to have it for myself, is such a, like, it's really needed to, like, shift away from that. But how did you come to that? Is that recent? Is that, like, what was the process?
It's definitely been a journey, but I think with that song, in terms of thinking about, I owe a great debt to Black music, and I have to think about that and make some decisions about what my relationship is going to be. I can't, like, parse it out. Oh, that's Black music, this is white music, this is, you can't divide things clean like that. But I think that because of being an American artist and having a musical language that comes from Black music, I've had to think about it. And so just, what are you going to do? And 10 years ago, I covered Feeling Good, and now I really have to think. I still sing it sometimes, but it has to mean something specifically for me to do it. So it's been a process, and everybody's going to think about it in their own. What are you going to do? But you have to disrupt. That is our job, is to disrupt, whether that's gender or gender norms or social norms. Like, I feel the job of the artist is to question and to create disruption.
Yeah.
I love that.
I know, I'm just like,
put that on my resume. My job
right,
is to disrupt.
Mess some shit up.
You had a moment that was very disruptive, that you, like, in pop music and pop culture, that we talked about. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I'm a pastor's kid, and the moment that popped into my mind was Prince wearing, when I was a teenager, and seeing a Prince with chapless, pants, and that just
Controversy.
I know you see it. I know you see it. Prince just said, well, it is what it is.
So you're gonna get this cake.
Obviously.
Here it is.
You're
gonna get this cake.
Oh my God.
And you're gonna like it.
And that was really shocking. I mean, that was, it was very shocking. I mean, I think at the time, he, it's not maybe so shocking now, but back when I was a little one, it was a shock, and it was transgressive for sure. I didn't go cut my pants out, but I wasn't quite ready for that. But it was arresting, and made me think,
There is someone who shared, who's like a huge, it's a huge Prince fan, and she was saying she was a little bit younger, but she was like, I had never seen a man be sexualized in that way. Like women were more likely to just be straight up nude or half dressed or whatever. I think even today that's still true for most.
I think so.
I think like Maluma is probably the only artist I think is just like actually like thirst trapping in like his videos, but like it's still mainly like women doing music that it's more likely to see more of their body. But she was like, I remember seeing Prince and thinking, wow, who is this? Like I've never thought of a man being sexualized in that way, you know, or just showing his body to like for people to see and like take in. Like, so that was like her take on that record that you brought up, which sounds like you both had a similar reaction. Like, okay.
And Prince Hilton Alls has such a great article that I sent you, but maybe folks can go check it out. But just how Prince really did not prescribe to this kind of male aggressive role as the one that's aggressively sexualizing, and I think or aggressively going after a sexual, target or something. It's like it was more like was in the position of the one who's like, hey, do you want to watch me do something? Or, hey, he was the one things were happening to, not being the aggressor.
Interesting. So I'm going to share that with in the chat here, and hopefully our friends at UMS can put that into the YouTube chat. This is the Harper's article that you were talking about, Shara, which I thought was really incredible. And it's is it part of a larger memoir, or is this just right?
Actually, I'm not too sure.
Folks can read it. We'll put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, Olly, what was the moment that was really, in whatever way, felt like groundbreaking for you?
Oh, so yes, you asked me this, and I instantly knew what my answer would be because I very much stand this woman, and I have done for a very long time. But it was Rihanna releasing "Anti," which I think was a huge moment for her. Oh, there she is. She had numerous like best-selling digital artist of all time. 8-9 albums into her career, like she really defied expectations by releasing this album and kind of changing the game, I think, from the way that she'd previously kind of released music and proving that she could be an artist that's still, and Anti is an interesting record because I think it was culturally so significant and really, really loved, but critically it was just kind of not really, it wasn't nominated for a Grammy. It was really kind of snubbed, which is crazy because there's so many like iconic records on that album. And anyway, and then, I just think it's really the sound of her, really, her identity, who she is, like it's coming through in that record, I think maybe more than her others, even though I love her others as well. So I think for me, and then, now she's and she went on to become, just change the world, like Fenty, the first luxury fashion house at LVMH, whatever, like she's, I guess we're all kind of like in awe of Rihanna, but I just love that album so much. I still listen to it. It still sounds like, so good. So
it's such a good album.
I was with a makeup artist, and the makeup artist said it was after Fenty that all the colors changed, and that that it forced the other makeup companies to get with the program.
Wow.
The shade, I know, it's crazy.
Which is insane.
I know. It's really crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Like the girls have been needing shades.
Right.
Like this didn't just happen.
God just dropped like our skin tones.
Right.
Other people. What I'm gonna do?
I'm gonna shake the table. Shaking the table.
Oh my gosh.
Did you get a chance to tell her like any of this when you met her? Olly, where
Oh,
you
I love that you
or
brought
did
that.
you
Yeah,
take that?
see, I did meet her. Yes, I did meet Rihanna once. Yeah, I paid you to say that. It was
Yeah.
we didn't really exchange any. It was like a very very brief. But I think she's used. I think I was like very much fanning over her, and I think she was just very very sweet. And I gave her a copy of our second album, and I was like, "You can throw away if you want to." And she was like, "I would never do that." She hugged me, and I was like, "Why did I even say that?" I don't know.
That's amazing.
But maybe another time. I hope one day, like that's a dream that we can like just chill. And
Well, she's actually. What if she just like popped up and she's actually just wanted to? No,
she's here.
she's here,
and you'll get the chance today.
Right. She's like, I haven't listened to something. I love that moment because it made me think. I was thinking about this question, and musically, I would say Khalees's debut record and MIA's debut records were like totally rewired my brain. So like Cut Out There, yeah, Khalees, just
amazing.
People like Khalees and people like MIA, for one reason, like Khalees and MIA both, their look, the sound, the way that they delivered these records, the way that they worked with their voices and the attitude they have, I feel like has been emulated a million times. Like even like there was a moment where you could see people were styling Rihanna like MIA at a certain point. Like MIA's approach, this like copy paste collage style, and I think MIA, wherever she's at politically now, I think she really was talking about global the experiences of the global poor and black and brown people outside of like the Western world, and in a way that was really so it just really shook me because I felt like no one ever talked about poverty or no one ever talked about that kind of thing in popular culture, because it was always about wealth or consumption or whatever, or aspiring towards that. And that just really blew my mind that she even brought those things up or had imagery or had footage from places that she'd gone that weren't, yachts or whatever. Like I thought both of them have just been so inspirational for me and like really unapologetically rule breaking. So I'll leave it at that.
100%.
Yes. Siena, your answer to this was so interesting. I hopefully you can like walk us down the path of this entire answer, because I feel like it was a really great response.
Thanks. I was like, what do you mean it was interesting? That word means so many things.
It was compelling. It was just so brilliant, I guess.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember exactly what I said, but definitely one of the most groundbreaking moments was that I could at least recall when you asked me the question was the moment when Kanye took the mic from Taylor Swift at the VMA Awards, and just sort of like the wave of just like feminism or outward feminism within pop music after that, and even just like what that represented in that moment. Like, I think a lot of people agreed with Kanye, at least the sentiment of what he was saying, and that Beyonce did have one of the biggest pop records of all time, with Single Ladies, and definitely of that year. But for a man to step on stage and take the mic from a woman during, her moment, I was watching that with my dad, and my dad was fuming. He was like, this is around the time where I'm like, Dad, I'm gonna make music, and like that's it. Like you're gonna that's it. And he was like, I would kill him. He was like, if someone did that to my baby, I would have rushed him on stage. And my dad was so angry at Kanye for that. And it was just like such a wild moment, because I think we all felt for Taylor. And we all felt for Beyonce, and it was just like this weird thing where you had to like put yourself in everybody's shoes, and the camera's just like going back and forth between like Kanye West, Taylor Swift, Jay-Z, Beyonce, and Beyonce's like, Kanye, no.
Right.
And yeah, exactly. And that obviously like was a huge catalyst in Taylor's career, because I mean, now she's like, any opportunity she gets to talk, like it's very much clear that she wants to fight a lot of the like misogynistic like characteristics of the industry, from all the way from like having her voice be heard to, you know, owning her masters and being the #1 writer on her songs, you know, to just having her hand in everything. Because I think that was extremely like, I think that Kanye took a lot of power from her in that moment. But also like the respectability politics within feminism within the music industry, because, you know, we felt for Taylor in that moment, but also like they totally robbed Beyonce that year. And just like what the wave of feminism within pop music after that was really, really inspiring for me, because I'm a huge Taylor fan. I'm a huge Beyonce fan. And they've both inspired me a lot to be a boss, you know? I think that that's something that like Taylor had to learn. That's something that Beyonce, she took a huge hit on the album after I Am Sasha Fierce 4, where it was her lowest selling album, but she owned the most of it and like made a point of that, which was like extremely inspiring to me. And it's one of my favorite projects ever, because she executive produced it and had a say in every single thing that went into it. And to see how she's like cultivated that over the years with Parkwood and with all of the things she has her hands in, to like Black is King this year. And to see Taylor with her documentary and, you know, consistently fighting to gain back ownership of things that, you know, she put herself into. So I think that was like one of the moments where I was like, I'm definitely very proud to walk in my womanism in this industry. And it's very like important for me to reclaim a lot of the things that have already been taken from me just because of how male dominated the industry is. Just, you know, like I can recall like a lot of my first studio sessions and talking to my mentors about how hard I had to like fight for my voice to be heard in sessions that were mostly men in the room, or times that I could see men getting like visibly upset because I had a line that made it into the song over theirs, or just to being called things like sweetheart in the middle of a session, or you know, young lady. And I'm like, we're the same age.
Like,
So, exactly. Like it's like weird stuff like that where it's like there's just like so far to come, obviously, but that was, I think, a huge moment, because we saw a shift in how women were showing up in, as, you know, as pop artists, as, you know, these like, not just these, they weren't just like, hey, go put on, you know, your sparkly like bikini and like your freakum dress, get on stage, sing the song, smile in the cameras, like, and that's it. Like now you see Ariana on the carpet and she's like, excuse me? And she's like, and for what? Like, don't talk to me any kind of way. And for what?
Yeah.
And I love that, because exactly, because it's just like, we're not here, you know, that's not what we're here for. Like, this is just as much work for us as it is for you. And there's like a level of professionalism that should come with that, and respect. Period.
What? See, that's why I was like, we need to like get all this out, because your response was such a great way to talk about that moment, you know, outside of it just being Kanye versus Taylor. Like it was like there's the reverberation through everyone's like understanding of women and femmes like in music. Like I think not that was the original point, but that was certainly like a huge critical like moment.
Totally. There were so many consequences of that moment.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just a meme. It is a meme. It's a great meme.
It was more than a meme.
There was more than a meme.
More than a meme. I'm gonna fight you for that lyric, by the way.
More than a meme.
After this, more than a meme. Can I just ask Ali before we'll get into some other questions from other? I'm sure there's folks questions putting questions in the chat, but like when you are, we had kind of a short conversation about this like earlier this year. It feels like that was like 50 years ago. But just about the barriers of being non-white in like UK pop and like what that looks like. I know because do you want to talk about that at all, or do you kind of?
Well, I mean, I guess I could only say, like, I can't speak from my own personal experience, of course. Right. I would say that the UK, similarly, you know, the issue, like, I would say the music industry, like all capitalist free market institutions, kind of is institutionally racist, and that kind of manifests in peculiar ways, I think, in different places. And the UK has its own kind of like insidious form of like very like hangover from like strange like laws that don't make sense anymore. This is like a weird tangent, but I guess like the state right now in the UK, I'd say if you're an emerging artist, is to get your music played on the radio. And there's really like kind of two radio stations in the UK, and there's the BBC, or there's kind of commercial radio, and the BBC like have a remit to play music that reflects the community of the UK. So, you know, they are kind of mandated to play different types of music. Yeah, so that's you know, it's a public podcast, so that's one of the cool things about, you know, what it does. Like lots of people detract from it, but so I guess so I don't really understand like the American radio system. Like there's so many radio stations and it's like really crazy, but the UK has like Radio 1 and then Radio 1 Extra, which is like the station that plays music of Black origin and Black artists. And I think, you know, for an artist who's trying to break, it's like, okay, well, are you going to get played on Radio 1 Extra or Radio 1? You know, and you know what that means. Like, so, and that's really, and like you said about the people who are sitting in rooms and offices, like choosing who gets played on these playlists, aren't necessarily the people who reflect the listeners or the people making the music. So that's not to say there aren't, I mean, there's so many amazing UK Black artists that really are changing the game. And it's such a healthy scene. But I think the same issues, they face the same barriers in the sense that they can't transcend these categories that are placed upon them, or it's much more challenging to. And I think that's really shared across, you know, across this country and the US, I guess.
That's really great to hear that, because I don't think I even understood the radio part, but we didn't really talk about that before.
Yeah, I was reading the Esquire article on Labyrinth.
I read that, yeah.
It's really good, and it was really good like before this conversation too, because he says like to be like, he's like the goal for a Black pop artist or a pop artist in general in the UK, like in order to be considered a pop artist, if you're Black, you have to like reach legendary status. He's like, you have to literally be a legend if you're even gonna be considered popular, like a pop artist, which is crazy. Because Labyrinth is fucking flames. Like literally one of the best artists, like songwriters, period.
I know. Yeah. I would, I enjoyed that article too. Like, I would really encourage people, go read it.
So really quickly, because there's one just burning question from the audience was, do you have plans for like a new music, any kind of remote virtual live performance experiences for your audience? That was something that people were really curious about.
For me, I'm currently like trying to finish our third album, and it's getting there. So I'm kind of like deep in that process, like trying to just finish music, and then hopefully, you know, start thinking about how we're going to perform some of it. But I'm sure there's going to be a way, and I'm really excited. Like, so in the new year, we'll definitely start doing things again. I'm very excited and like scared. Like third time around, you're just like, oh, I'm still really nervous and like want people to like it.
Do you find? I think there was a question that was the last part of that question was for everyone else on the panel too. Like, do you have how are you thinking about being a performing artist right now? Are you even trying to figure out virtual remote stuff? Sienna, I know you did like a drive-in show. Shara, you're doing a lot of different things too, like personally and through residency. So what does that look like for y'all right now and maybe going into next year?
Sienna, you did a drive-through show?
Sorry, drive-in. That's a drive-through. Drive-in.
They didn't drive through. They drove in. They stopped.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was really, really awesome. It was for JBL Audio that gave me these really sweet headphones too.
Yay.
But yeah, they did this awesome show out in like Metro Detroit area. And it was cool. There was like 250 cars, which was really, really fun. It's weird saying like, instead of put your hands up, like put your headlights on bright. I made a lot of honk if you're horny jokes. Which I have no shame in because I don't know when I'll get the chance to do it again. So
you had to.
I had to do it.
Where was the
Come
show?
on.
Was it in? Where were you?
It was in Novi.
Oh wow! Okay, you were in Michigan. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, I was extremely nervous because you can't see anyone's face, so I didn't know if like at what point am I losing the energy, or sometimes when you start to lose energy in a crowd, there's like little things you can pull, like pouring a bottle of water all over them, wake everyone up. But when you're at a drive-in show, it's not that easy or simple. But it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun.
Cool.
I don't know if there's any more on the way. This is pretty much how you can catch me. It's if my friends ask me to participate in things like this.
Right. So hit up JBL if you want another Sienna show. Be like,
no, if you want another Sienna show, wear your mask and stay at home.
Yeah.
That's how you're gonna get another show, is if we beat this damn virus. That's the only way.
Yeah, I mean, really, I've turned down so many things because I'm just like, I would never be able to forgive myself if someone came to my show and got sick. Like,
no.
So there's so much anxiety, just so y'all know, like for us, there's so much anxiety and worry about keeping you all safe that, at least for me, overshadows my desire to like roll around feverishly on stage again. So like I'm definitely, it's like not really even equal. So that just, I think, and people probably know that. And I would say like, if you want to love on an artist and support them in this moment, buy their merch, like literally buy their merch, play their music, like that is really helpful. But also wear a mask and, pressure. If you live in the US, you can, this is a nonpartisan thing, but you can pressure your legislator to pass Save Our Stages Act, which is to make sure like venues that are probably not going to survive, honestly, these smaller venues or mid-sized venues, a lot of them are in danger of closing. So consider looking into the Save Our Stages Act or other things you can ask the legislators to do to like give funding to this entire industry of people that are out of work right now, so that when we're able to do it, that it's all still there waiting for us to like go out and do shows. I hope that was okay. If that wasn't too political for the stream. Shara, do you have anything about?
I have been working on a project for the last couple of years, and it was supposed to be at the DIA, free to the public with choir. And my dear friend of 10 years, we were writing a piece about our friendship and how we unintentionally do harm, and how do we talk about it? How do we have honesty in our friendship? And so we've been trying to convert all of that to make a film instead that would be seen in museums by appointment. But it's like, even the luxury of having grant-based work this year, I still have to come up with 17 contingencies the admin on scrambling this budget 50 times to try to make it work. And then the venues can't commit. Well, you can't really make a plan, even with the university. It's like, well, we can try to make this available to people, and then here's the other contingencies. So it's intense. It's intense.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm working on some stuff too, and I'm trying to kind of create some virtual experiences that feel more like you have more control over and can like pick what's even happening. So it's almost like game design. So that's something I'm diving into. It's a lot, but I mean, we have like a year or so to figure it out. I want to go to these questions. So I'll answer this really quickly. Independent radio stations. How do I feel about independent radio stations and how they have less limitations than bigger stations? Do you think there's a future there? I have had very direct connection to independent stations outside of ones in Michigan. For my debut record, my label, paid for, because even with indie stations, you kind of have to send music through certain channels to them. So usually I've like paid someone to like send out all the music to all like a huge list of national stations. But I found that like WICE in Grand Rapids, for example, has been such an amazing partner because they helped me even just connect to a Grand Rapids audience. And now I've sold out shows there because of really the support of that station. So I love independent radio stations. I don't know how they're doing, because I know radio listenership is down. So like, listen to radio. That's another way that you can kind of help keep this network still like alive and surviving this pandemic, is like, listen to these stations, call in. Like, having their listenership up is really important for their funding. I want to make sure I'm good on time. Okay, we're doing okay. All right, so this is kind of like a broad question, so you can answer however you want, but do you think social media has had a positive or negative effect on artists? That's a huge question. I don't know if anyone has like immediate thoughts.
Ooh.
Go for it, Olly.
Oh God. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, there are so many good things, and there are a lot of positives, a lot of negatives. I think it's definitely, you can't really view it. Artists using social media. It's like God, what do I think about this?
I think that says everything that you need to know.
I'm like playing absolutely, yeah. I think in many ways, like it's given, like it's shifted for people that are good with social media, that it's such a good way to connect with a fan base and to build an audience. And like, you've seen people that maybe would never have been able to go through like the traditional label route, become huge stars because of social media. And that's cool. I think that's cool. And it's inspiring to see how people can really like leverage that and have huge careers from it. But, it's also, I think everyone would agree, we're all conflicted about the way we have to kind of perform online. We all perform our identities online, and I think it's more and more political. Every interaction, every follow, every like, and I think it definitely strangles discourse. And just being online, as the experience of being online can be kind of quite like stressful sometimes. But so I guess, but it's why I love social media is like I can talk to like our fans, and it's like they always cheer me up and they're so cute and funny, and it's like I would really be sad not to have that, So it's like it's amazing for that reason too.
We met on Twitter. Like, I feel like Twitter is like how I met you, and I'm so grateful for that. Like, yes, I think you can really have great connections. But yeah, it can be a lot.
That's it. Yeah, you said it.
The answer is reaction GIF kombucha girl. Well, that's me and social media and being an artist. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Kinda.
Right. Ali, do you see this question in the chat? Do you want to speak to this question?
Oh, well, yeah, of course. So
It's underneath the independent radio stations. Okay.
Oh yeah, someone's asking if I've seen what's happening. Oh yeah, oh my gosh, in Poland. I'm sure you guys are probably somewhat aware. There's just a lot of like the government in Poland rollbacks of like women's rights, LGBT rights, and there's a lot of protests and demonstrations going on at the moment. And I'm very fortunate to have played in Poland. Our band to have played in Poland like lots of times, and they're an amazing country, amazing audience, and like there are so many queer people there who. I personally had such inspirational interactions with them, so I just sending them love and hope that the situation there improves, for everybody there. And yeah, my full support with them.
We're getting close. We have about 2 minutes left. I want to do one thing. This is going to seem really silly, but it's important to me. So someone is watching this, I know, who can do a screen cap. So on 3, can we just give our best screen capture faces, expressions, whatever? So I'm gonna go 1. We're gonna hold it for like 3 or 4
I'm gonna
seconds.
take
right?
my headphones off.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Oh.
Where's the camera?
It's really the eyes. It's all in the eyes, Tunde, with you.
You've got to smize.
It's all about the power in those eyes. Wow.
Tyra trained me well. And TM. I want to just thank you all so much. Please, if you are on this chat and you don't know all 4 of the people in the screen, get to know all these artists. You all are really so incredible. I'm really grateful to have you in my life. Like really. Anything you want to just say last before we go?
Thank you.
We don't wanna hear it. No.
Go listen. Go stream.
Go listen to Tunde.
Yeah, you're amazing today.
Thank you so much for having me and all of us. It was nice talking to you guys.
Good to talk to you guys.
Same.
All right. Love everyone. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Bye.
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 Bye.